As you start adding people, it makes it difficult to collaborate on challenging product issues or challenging marketing issues. You're trying to get in sync on what's our messaging and whatnot. So like implementing a little bit more process becomes important. And so at various different inflection points, we've had to, kind of change the way that we operate. And, previously you and I had been chatting about this framework from Phil Libin. And for people who don't remember Phil Libin was the CEO of Evernote. And I'm not sure what he's doing now, but I was listening to, I think it was a Tim Ferriss podcast a number of years ago. And he talked about, I think it's the rule of 3 and 10. And just very briefly, he kind of talks about how it's effectively every time you triple. So he went 10 just because it makes things easier for kind of effect. But basically, every time you triple, everything breaks, right? So if you're a solo founder, when you then go to 3 people, everything breaks in terms of the way you work together. And then when you go from 3 to 10, instead of 9, did you say 10? From 3 to 10, everything breaks again. And then 10 to 30, everything breaks again. And you got to, change the way that you're operating. And I think he was very much talking in terms of like operationally and the way that you as a team are working together, everything breaks. But I think there's also probably like things within your go-to-market function that are probably breaking as well. Things that are breaking your product. All sorts of different aspects of your business. Things are breaking and you have to like totally rethink this. So yeah, if people want to find like a pretty good sort of, I guess, framework for how to think about this, if you Google the rule of 3 and 10, you'll find some pretty interesting sort of summaries of this. Another framework that I've heard that I think basically describes the same concept, and I'm going to forget if it was, I think it might have been Andrew Chen, and he's got this great invisible asymptote, or no, was it Eugene Wei? But this, I'm sure if you search invisible asymptote, it's basically this idea. I didn't know what an asymptote was before I read this article. So if you're listening to this and you don't know what an invisible asymptote is, don't feel bad. It's basically an asymptote is if you're looking at like a function on a graph, like an S curve where it goes like this and then up. It's basically describing that plateau that you hit. So if you're like getting, imagine you've got like an exponential growth curve and then it flattens out. That flattening out part is the asymptote. And he talks about this idea of how in the growth of any product, any business, you hit these inflection points that he calls invisible asymptotes, where basically you're growing exponentially and then it starts to flatten out and then you hit basically this plateau. And like, what do you need to change to break out into growth again? It could be, okay, like we've tripled in the size of our team. Things are just not working anymore. We need to change things. It could be our go-to-market function as we're currently operating, relying on just doing SEO in this way and paid search in this way, et cetera. That's hit an invisible asymptote or, a plateau. And what do you need to reinvent or change to be able to break out of that? So I know this is two good kind of frameworks for people to look up. We'll see if we can maybe share some links or something, but.
Hey, it's Ryan here. If you like that video, please click the like and subscribe button somewhere down there and check out the full interview right over here. Go on, click it. You know you want to.